Have you noticed that tiny flashes are trending? In the past 6 months, 3 different brands have offered me tiny flashes to test out. But I've said no to all of them. Until now. Why? Because of this brand, GODOX. This tiny flash has been around for a few months, but it's now available for OM systems and Lumix cameras. Hey, it's Marlene. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. I do camera gear reviews, lighting, lenses, accessories, and all that good stuff. I shoot with Lumix cameras, both full frame and micro four thirds. I'm a nerdy birder. I like to shoot portraits, street photography, and all those kind of things, dabbling in astro. If this sounds like a good fit for you, please subscribe, and I look forward to hearing from you in the comments. As a longtime fan of the GODOX brand, I was very happy they offered me this tiny flash to test out, but there are no restrictions on what I say about it. Okay, let's open it up. I have the O version, which is for Olympus and Panasonic cameras. You can see how small it is here compared to my hands. It also comes with a USB charging cable and a storage bag. This flash does have a wide-angle diffuser. It's just a physical switch on the side. Oh, I forgot to mention that this flash comes in silver and black, and I got the silver one. Okay, I'm just going to go over a couple of things here. I'm not going to go over everything. I do have some videos that are linked in the description that you should watch if you want to get into the advanced features of this flash. There's a dial and there's 3 buttons on the front here, and to turn it on you choose the bottom one, and you can either swipe the screen or roll the dial to turn it on. And right now you can see that I'm in TTL mode and I'm at minus 0.3 f-stops on my exposure, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself. The first thing you want to do is choose your mode, and here's the 3 modes: TTL, manual, and multi-mode. So let's go back to TTL and again push the menu to get into this menu with exposure compensation, and you can roll. You can go +3 all the way to -3, and that's exposure compensation. So that basically controls the flash power. If your flash is too bright, take this down a bit. If it's too dark, add some light by using exposure compensation. Okay, here's a scenario with TTL mode. And everything in the camera is in manual mode. So I'm at 1/25 of a second, f2.8, ISO 400. My flash is at 0, and the flash power is at 0. And just so you know, the yellow bar indicates the flash power, and the gray bar underneath indicates the range that the flash will light up. So in this case, it's just about just under 1 meter to 9 meters. Okay, so let's take a picture. And let's play it back, and it is a little bit overexposed. I can just tell. Okay, so if it's overexposed, what are you gonna do? Well, you have a couple of choices. So let's close our f-stop to let's go 2 stops. So f5.6, we'll just leave the flash the way it is. Let's check our histogram, and it didn't change all that much. It changed a little bit. It got a little bit brighter actually at f5.6, which is interesting. You think the opposite would happen. But keep in mind, this flash is automatic. So let's go to f11. That's quite drastic. 2 more stops. Take a picture, play it back, and you can see that it's still overexposed. So what should we do? Well, now we're going to lower our flash power. So let's lower the flash power to minus 0.7 f-stops. Take another picture. I'm at f11 now. So the one before was f11, and this one is a little bit darker. You can see the histogram just shifted down quite a bit. Well, I think it might, I think it might still be a little too bright. So I'm going to lower this a little bit more, take a picture. So the flash is at minus 0.1. There's our flash range, 0.5 to just over 2 meters. So because my f-stop is closed down, my range is less, and also my power of my flash is down. So you can see that, yes, we did lower the exposure. Okay, there you go. I don't know if you can see that on the video, but it's definitely less. Let's put it down to f2.8. f2.8. Now, what would you think is going to happen? You think it's going to overexpose, right? Because we just went from f11, which looked pretty good, to f2.8. Notice the range jumped up. The range at f11 was a lot lower. See the range, the smaller your f-stop, the less range you have, so less light is entering. So let's go to 2.8. Take a picture and let's compare it to the f11 one. So there's f2.8, there's f11. Not much difference, is there? Let me show you. There's one, there's the other. I mean, really, there's a little change in color because I have more ambient light sneaking into the photo. Did you expect it to change a lot when you change your f-stop, like 5 stops from 2.8 to f11? You'd expect it to be overexposed. But because you're in TTL mode, the flash will take care of the exposure. So my advice is to shoot at the f-stop and shutter speed you want, and control the amount of light coming out of the flash by the flash power. Now, of course, you will be taking in ambient light if you're shooting outdoors, and a lot of people like that effect where, say around sunset, your background is dark and saturated and your foreground may have a subject in it, like a person. So you can control the exposure of the person by the flash output power. All right, that was long and complicated, but hopefully it makes sense. Okay, that's the basic setup, and that's basically how I use this flash. If you want to try out manual mode, you go into manual mode, and then you go back into your menu, and you can see in manual mode it looks a bit different. It has 1/16 power and 1/8 power. So you can see that it goes up incrementally, and there's sort of clicks in between. So there's, instead of f-stops or exposure compensation, it goes up by power of the flash. So there's 1/8 and then plus a third, plus a third, plus a third gives us a quarter. The other mode is the multi-mode. The owner's manual of the flash says that multi-mode is for stroboscopic effect. So say you have a 1 second exposure and you're bouncing a ball and then your flash is going off. But I find it's kind of fun to use for burst modes. So I shot my little guy here, I threw a ball at him. It allowed me to capture like burst mode flashes, and I've always wanted to do that. And I went up to 5 flashes per second, so not super fast, but you can see that it does capture the motion. So if you'd like to do stroboscopic effects, there is a chart in the owner's manual, the PDF owner's manual, that explains everything. But the gist of it is the number of flashes divided by the flash frequency equals the shutter speed, and that would be the minimum shutter speed. So here's an example. 10 flashes divided by 5 hertz, which is your frequency, equals 2 seconds. So a minimum of 2 seconds shutter speed. So you'll get 10 flashes in 2 seconds. If you want to do those stroboscopic effects, there is a chart right in the owner's manual. You'll have to download the PDF for that. That shows you exactly the shutter speed you need with how many flashes you want to have. I'll do a test shot here. I'm going to push this. You can see, hopefully you saw or at least heard, that it went off 3 times. If I up this to 5, it went off 5 times. So you can fire test shots with this button as well. Now let me just go back into the TTL mode. And now if I fire a test shot, it just flashes once and it's very quiet. You probably can't even hear it, or maybe you can't even see it. Okay, that's all I'm going to talk about on those modes, but if you go into this menu here, it has a bunch of other menus, and I suggest that you go and watch some of those advanced videos for these, how to operate these, although some of them are very Simple to figure out: standby, auto off, screen standby, screen brightness, language, factory reset, and device info. You can update the firmware of this flash as well, and instructions for that are on the GODOX website. But for these first 3 menus, I suggest you watch the video. One quick thing I will show you though is right here. If you want to use this as a slave and master situation or fire off other flashes, you will have to check out the channel and the ID number, just like with any flash trigger. So again, I would read the advanced features in the videos that I shared for that. For me, I just like to work in very simple menus, and my favorite is TTL. Oh yes, and high-speed sync. You just push this here, and now you can set your camera on high-speed sync, and this is good for shooting outdoors with a fast shutter speed. If you get this flash, I recommend also getting the riser. That's the TR riser, and this was also sent to me. And the reason you might want a riser is if you're using a wide-angle lens, and sometimes the lens hood will block the flash, so you get like a shadow on your picture. And sometimes that happens with longer lenses too. Basically any lens that's going to block the light, because this light's pretty low and pretty close to the lens. Also, a riser might help with red eye reduction, although of course cameras now, they all have a little pre-flash if you want to eliminate red eye reduction. If you have a full-size flash, you can tilt it up or use the bounce card, which you cannot do with the iT30 Pro flash, unless you get the riser. The riser for this flash allows you to tilt it up all the way to 90 degrees. And I haven't seen any other video reviews that tell you about this hidden feature of this riser. So when I first got this flash, I used it in TTL mode, and I took the Lumix S1 Mark II out to the skate park, and I photographed a friend there, and he was kind enough to do some repetitious motion so that I could learn the timing. Because what happens is, when you press the shutter button, the flash doesn't necessarily go off in that instant. Now, when you come from shooting like 10 frames a second burst mode in a sport, and then you shoot 1 frame and then have to wait for the flash to recharge, you kind of lose your technique and you have to learn a new technique. So I did miss a few shots, but he went around 5 or 10 times, and by then I was able to get the timing. And basically what I mean by that is you have to press the shutter button before your subject gets to the peak moment in their action sequence. But I would love to try multi-mode with burst at the skate park again, and if I get a chance to do that, I will add some photos to this video. If you're a beginner, you'll likely start using this flash in TTL mode through the lens, and it's fully automatic in that mode. Keep in mind though, if you do use TTL mode, it can sometimes make your subjects look a bit garish, like especially people pictures. So what I like to do is blend ambient light with the flash so that I get less harshness. Now, sometimes if your subject is moving, you might get a little blur, but you can use that creatively too. And also keep in mind, the flash doesn't have to be full power. You can lower the power of your flash, and I usually do -1/3 as a general rule, but you can experiment with that as well. So it's automatic exposure, but you can control the power of the flash in TTL mode. Now, of course, this flash is available for pretty much every brand of camera these days, so make sure if you need the Lumix or Olympus version, you get the ones that say O on the package, O on the riser, and O on the flash itself. Otherwise, it probably won't work. Here's all the cameras that I have tested this flash with. Lumix G9 Mark II, original G9, Lumix G100, Lumix S1 Mark II, and the OM1 Mark I. That's all the cameras I have to test it with, so please don't ask me if it works with your Camera X. Now, of course, this flash isn't for every situation, but if you have a small camera, like perhaps the Lumix G100, or you just want some little flash that you can throw in your bag or your pocket when you're out and about, or at a party or something like that, this flash might be perfect for you. Now, how much does it cost? Well, it's $75 US for the flash, and the riser is about $19 US. So under $100, you've got a nice little setup here. I'm so happy that GODOX sent this to me to test out because it has reignited my interest in flash photography. Now, of course, I haven't covered every scenario and setup for this flash. I will link some other videos in the description below so you can check them out. One is by Strobe Pro here in Calgary, and one is from the GODOX website itself. So if you need advanced features for this flash, definitely check those out. I would typically keep it simple, as I always do. See you next time.